In this video, we're going to look at how to make our own book cloth. Book cloth is the cloth we use to bind the outside of our books. And you can see it wraps around. Then we're going to cover it with some paper. You can kind of see the indent where the book cloth wrapped around the binding here. Okay. And then you can see on this accordion book how the book cloth wraps around. Now you could go and buy pre-made book cloth, and what book cloth is, it's just cloth that has paper adhered to the other side. You need to use book cloth with the paper on the one side because that's how you glue the inside cardboard to the cloth. And you want that paper and then a barrier between the paper and the cloth so all the glue's not seeping through your cloth and making your cloth stiff. So we're gonna make our own, and like I said, you can buy your own. It's a little expensive and you're limited to your colors, but making your own, you could get any type of cloth and create your own book cloth. What I'm gonna do for this demonstration, I'm actually gonna use an old t-shirt to make a piece of book cloth. Before that, we got to look at a few measurements. So our insides of our books are going to be around this big, okay? And we have the cardboard we're using for the books here. So you're going to have the spine and you're going to have the two pieces of cardboard, and they'll be spaced out. And the reason we're looking at this now is you want to always have a little bit more cloth than you need. So at bare minimum for this, we're going to need at least 13 by 9. So 13 inches by 9 inches, that's the bare minimum we would want. Like I said, it's always better to have more. So I'm going to use an old t-shirt here. And you can see, here's my design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by just roughly cutting the front of the shirt off really big, much more than I need. But again, it's always better to be bigger than smaller because you could always cut more off. We cannot add more to the cloth. Now I have my cloth cut out and we're ready for the first step. Now what we use as our adhesive to get the cloth attached to our paper is we use this Heat and Bond. I use this Ultra Hold because it's a little thicker. There's different types of Heat and Bond for different things, and this is an iron-on adhesive. So you could see it comes in these big sheets, and you can see there's a plasticky side and a paper side. So we're gonna cut this to size first. And for my example here, I'm gonna cut way more than I need. I'm gonna do 11 by 15, which is again several inches more than the minimum 9 by 13. So I already pre-marked my measurement this way. Remember, whenever you're using a ruler to cut, you should always use a utility knife. You shouldn't use an X-Acto blade with a ruler because it easily jumps over the edge and you can injure yourself. Always be cutting on a cutting mat. So now I'm ready. I already had my iron preheated. It should be a medium heat. The instructions on the Heat and Bond say medium heat, no steam, so make sure you don't have any steam. It's set to the no steam setting. Make sure when you're ironing on a ironing board or a clean surface. You don't want to do anything that could be damaged on the heat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my cloth out. Make sure this fits. If I got to trim it, so that fits good. I know my design that I want for my cover is rather centered, so I'm just double checking that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna give the cloth a quick iron so it's nice and flat. Now, the first step with this is you're gonna lay this down shiny side down. okay? Then you want to make sure it's placed correctly. Okay, so now I want to make sure my cloth is smooth underneath. And usually what I like doing is starting in the center and going out to help keep things nice and flat and smooth. And I'm putting a little bit of pressure on this. And I'm just going to kind of work out from the center. Now that this is cool, we want to check to make sure that this is adhered. So you want to cut right on the paper and you want to carefully peel. And you want to make sure the paper comes off of the adhesive. And you can see here how the adhesive is stuck to the cloth and the paper's coming off. So I know I have a good bond. So what I'm going to do is trim the extra cloth off. And I'm just going to kind of cut right along the side of the paper here. Okay, now if you're starting to peel this and the adhesive is coming up on the paper, that means your iron wasn't hot enough, so you need to increase the heat on your iron a little bit and re-iron it. So now I'm going to peel this off. And you can see if it gets stuck here. Just work that off. Alright, so now that I have that, all the paper off. Okay. Now that I have all the paper off, I'm going to use this tissue paper as my bonding. And this is food grade tissue paper, and this it has two sides. It has kind of like a smooth side and a matte side. I like to put the smooth side against the adhesive, so the matte side's gonna be where the glue touches when I go to glue it, and the matte side's gonna be a little more accepting of the glue. So shiny side down to the adhesive, smooth it out a little first, and then iron this on now. Again, start in the middle and work your way out. Now this is ironed. I'm going to let it cool off and then trim around the edges. Now you can see I have my book cloth, I have my paper adhered to my material. This is plenty big enough for my binding. You can see my design, even though my design's not centered here, but when I trim it for this, I have plenty of material to fold over. So when I make this, it will be on this side and we'll fold it over. Just remember when you're choosing materials, you want a nice something that's gonna withstand being a book binding. Cotton's good. You don't want to use anything synthetic that's gonna melt with the iron. So be careful with that, but that is how you can make a book cloth out of any type of cloth, including t-shirts.